He really, in many ways, epitomizes everything that this award should be about. And at least in my opinion, this award should be about teaching first. And at an institution of fantastic teachers, Brad is exceptional and one of the best here.
So he takes Colorado history and he actually shows you and talks about it and is able to apply it, and his students love him.
I make it relatable, and I make it interesting, and I make it fun. I consider myself to be a storyteller. That's really what historians are. So when I'm in front of the class and I'm talking, I'm not necessarily trying to be entertaining, but I think I am entertaining when I tell these stories. I think a lot of them just get hooked by that and drawn into the stories and realize that history is not boring like they thought in high school. Pueblo is ideally situated with areas around us that have such incredible history. So I started arranging field trips, first to Bent's Fort and the Western Museum of Mining and Industry up in Colorado Springs and our museums here in Pueblo. There are all these other experiences that I would like the students to have, but they're expensive. And the question is, how can we pay for them? And back in 2019, I set out to find a grant that maybe would cover some of these. So with the help of our grant writer here at PCC, we put together a grant proposal for the BNSF Railway Foundation. So I approached them and said, hey, railroad history is such an important part of Colorado, and I would like to bring a lot of that, those experiences to my students. Would you help fund us? And surprisingly, they did. We got to take them through the Royal Gorge on the Royal Gorge Route Railroad. That's an important part of Colorado's railroad history, and just the scenery is incredible. And I got to take them to Cripple Creek. We toured through the Molly Kathleen mines, so they get a really good firsthand idea of what hard rock mining is like. We also rode the Cripple Creek and Victor Narrow Gauge Railroad, so they got a little bit of a steam train ride through the gold country up there. And tomorrow we're taking our last field trip of the semester. We're going to ride the Cog Railway up Pikes Peak.
So Brad is about teaching above all else, but he's so much more than that. He's a published author. He recently published a book that's getting a lot of great press, and the way that Brad has brought in his research from his book into his classes has been exceptional.
It's about the Colorado-Kansas Railway, which is a short line railroad that only operated from Pueblo to Stone City, which is in the northwestern part of the county. The railroad, when it was originally conceived, was going to be an electrified railroad from Garden City, Kansas to Canyon City. And that never came to fruition. They only built the short line from Pueblo. So I started to tie all these different stories together about other railroad developments, other communities being built, other agricultural projects and irrigation projects here. So I'm really telling a part of Pueblo County's history that hasn't ever really been told before.
He's a movie buff. He loves movies, and he loves James Bond.
Well, I've been a James Bond fan since I was 10 years old when I read the book Goldfinger. Actually, I was reading the books before I even saw the movies. My parents wouldn't let me watch the movies until I was older.
And he looks at James Bond, and he knows their whole series.
But there's a lot of actual history that we can tie James Bond films to.
So he developed coursework, and it was centered on the Cold War, and is able to take these James Bond movies and apply them and how they were symbolizing through their history of the movie and how everything related back to the Cold War.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a Batman fan since I was a kid. Actually, my obsession was not with Batman so much at that time as it was the character Harley Quinn. I think that's why I decided to dress as the Joker for Halloween and dyed my hair green. I have another book that I have in mind. It's on the men's hatting industry in the United States. It's, it came out of my research into the hatting industry. I got into an internet forum that had a lot of novice hat makers on it, and so I just started buying up the equipment and learning how to do it myself. It's not necessarily difficult once you get the skills down pat, but it takes a while to finish a hat by hand. I typically only make one style of fedora, more of a 20s, 30s style. It's a great family here, Rich and Charles and Adam and Ashley. And before that, we had Michael Engel and Donna Fitzsimmons, Rosemary Breckenfelder. everybody's been so supportive of me. It's humbling. It really is.
He loves the field, he loves the college, he loves his students, and it shows in everything he does.
Congratulations, Brad. Such a well-deserved honor. Good for you.